We are back with the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast for October 12th here, talking all the Sunday games, some 1 o'clock Eastern starts, 4 o'clock Eastern starts, then the Sunday night game and Monday night game with the guest, Andrew McGinnis. Follow him on Twitter at McGinnis Picks. Welcome in, Andrew. How are you?
Hey, it's a great day, Drew. It's great day to be a sports bettor and great day to be a handicapper and a great weekend ahead. So I'm doing good. I'm excited about our podcast here and looking forward to a great weekend. How are you?
I'm doing good, bud. Excited to close it out here, I guess you could say, on the podcast. This is the last segment for the week, and last time we had you on for the NFL, you broke down the whole card, did a great job, so gave out some good picks as well. Let's start off here with 263, 264, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. We got NFC South matchup here. 57 now the total with the Falcons laying 3 at home in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. How would you look to bet Tampa Bay, Atlanta here?
This is a high total, first of all, Drew. I mean, this is two teams in my eyes, though, that the secondaries are just absolutely depleted. Like they're two secondaries that I think anybody could just walk all over right now. I think these two teams are both going to be involved in plenty of high-scoring games moving forward. Both these two teams are actually coming off major losses. Tampa Bay is coming off a 48-10 loss to the Chicago Bears, and of course Atlanta 41-17 loss. And, of course, Drew, you and I talked about that last week on the podcast. We did a little poll about Big Ben versus Matt Ryan. And I thought about that a lot as the week went on. You know, I think, obviously, Matt Ryan has potential to be elite and stuff like that. And right now he's having an off year. But his inability to kind of make those key completions in the red zone at the perfect times really kind of take away the confidence that I've ever had in him. So coming into this one, though, I think that, we had Tampa Bay. They're coming off a bye. We got Atlanta coming off that absolute ass whooping against Pittsburgh. I just think, even though it is a 3, my more confident bet on this one is going to just be the over, Drew. I mean, again, I started off by saying how high this total is, 57. But there's weapons. I mean, there's guys that can absolutely score for this Atlanta team. They have no problem really finding the end zone. I think their problem is going to be defense in this game. Tampa Bay as well. I mean, they're a team trying to string it together. They only managed 10 points 2 weeks ago against Chicago. Any team coming off a bye and any team coming off a complete, ass whipping in my eyes is a team to look at. Not always, but you got two teams right now that are definitely going to be fired up and be trying a couple new things, taking some risk, looking downfield, and that's what I think this game will be like. So my play on this one would actually be more so on the over 57. It's a lot of points, Drew, but I like it.
And for the Bucks, who do you think that they should be starting at quarterback? Jameis Winston or Conor McGregor's lookalike?
You know what? Well, I think right now at this point, it's got to be Winston. Well, you know what? We'll find out this week, Drew, to be honest with you. But I think right now it's Winston's job to lose, if that makes any sense. I think, we talk about the guy you're calling McGregor's lookalike here. I think that it's a little bit too much of the Fitz magic, as everybody was talking about, and all of a sudden the magic disappeared. So I think that if you're a quarterback, you can't have those highs and you can't have those lows. If you're having a bad game, it's got to be just a medium. It can't be a complete debacle. So I think that as far as consistency goes, I'll give it to Jameis Winston, but time will tell in this game here, Drew.
Okay, let's head out west here. We got 265, 266 Seattle at Oakland. Looks like 2.5 the Seahawks laying on the highway, 48.5 the total.
To be honest, Drew, this is one of those games where I don't have the highest amount of opinion on. These are two teams that I've had trouble reading so far this year, and two teams that I think have been very up and down, very inconsistent. Of course, this Raiders team right now, 2-3 ATS, but they're 1-4 on the year. The Raiders definitely not looking good. Definitely not a team that you can really rely on a weekly basis. But they're able to put up some points. It's just their defense, their inability to hold on to the ball, to convert on third down and things like that. And of course, Seattle, though, coming off that very impressive game last week, they lost just 33-31 to that exciting LA Rams team. So to me, even though that's a loss, it's exciting to see them competing with that Rams team because we know how exploding their offense can be. And of course, the Rams, a couple of defensive injuries, but that was exciting to see really for Seattle, to be honest with you. And, when Seattle gets comfortable and they start putting up those points, that's what honestly impresses me the most because, to be honest with you, I think they've kind of slipped away from that defensive mindset team, and we haven't really seen that from them recently. And on the other side of the coin, the Oakland Raiders, they're such an inconsistent team. It's hard to even fathom right now. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they're playing Cleveland. They win 45-42. Last week, they're playing the Chargers. They only put up 10 points. They lose 26-10. This is a team you can't rely on. You're not going to be able to guess what they're going to do each and every week. And I think Seattle's moving in a way better direction. So, the line has moved quite a bit on this game. I think we can get around -1 or -2, -2.5 at some spots, but it's worth the bet. It's worth the wager in my eyes. Oakland won't show up, and I think Seattle is just going in a better direction right now. So got to go with the Seahawks.
We got 267, 268. Buffalo at Houston, 41 the total. Looks like Houston, the Texans, laying 10 at home.
Drew, I don't know about you, and I want to get your thoughts on this personally as well, because you and I talked about the matchup last week with this Bills team, and I gotta say, man, I think this is going to be one of those teams that's going to be completely undervalued all year long. And we've got a lot of people thinking that Houston's going to be able to put up some points against this Bills team, and the Bills cover last week might have been a little bit of luck, but it was a very low-scoring game against Tennessee. Like, that's, we can all admit that. We can all come out and say that. But I don't think this Houston team is as exciting, can move the ball as fast as everyone thinks they can, and they have those weapons to really take on this Buffalo team. I mean, this is a Buffalo team that knows what they're doing right now. They know that they're not really a top-tier team, but each and every week we can see that they've gotten better. I mean, there's certain aspects of their game that they are developing. And, if you look, at their past couple of games, of course, there's some inconsistency levels. But what that game last week really showed me is that they can kind of keep things close. They can play a tight defensive game. And I know Houston is kind of on a different path right now, so to speak. So I think that after their win last week against Dallas, they're kind of want to come into Buffalo and take care of business. But no way, no how I'm getting a +10 with Buffalo, and I'm not going to take it. I think they keep things close. I think they do have more offensive weapons than people think they do, and it will be a closer game. So you're going to give me +10 in the NFL nowadays. I'll gladly take that one.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing two double-digit favorites here. We got Houston at -10, and then a game Robbie V and I talked about at the top here, Arizona and Minnesota. So Arizona +10 or Buffalo +10. I personally would much rather take Buffalo +10. Would you feel the same, McGinnis?
100%. 100%. I would trust them a lot more than Arizona, and I think that, again, Drew, I'm not saying this, and I don't want to, get that reputation for just saying, based off last week or based off the week before that. It's a week-to-week grind, especially in the NFL. But what I saw last week from Buffalo meant something to me. For some reason, it clicked with me when I took that +6.5 and I looked at it. It was a Tennessee team, Drew, but I think that they kept things close. They were a defensive team. They got key stops. And I know it was kind of a crappy, messy, low-scoring game, but when you're keeping things that close and you're getting 10 points, 10.5, even if you lay a little more juice against this Houston team that I don't think is capable of running a score up. That's what it really comes down to, Drew. Is this Houston team capable of running the scoreboard up on Buffalo? And I don't think they can.
Let's move on down the line here. 269, 270. LA Rams at the Denver Broncos. Looks like the Rams laying 7. Heritage showing a 6.5, as is Jazz, but mostly 7s out there. 51.5 the total, McGinnis.
This is one of those ones that kind of makes me think twice, because we're just talking about it, Drew, about these large favorites. And I know this is just kind of a touchdown that we're getting here. We got the Rams. They're 3-1-1 against the spread, 5-0, undefeated on the season still. And here's a Broncos team that's 0-4-1 against the spread on this season. But I think this spot here for the Broncos is an important game for them. I mean, we've got a team that is struggling to consistently put up points. And to me, I use that phrase a lot. It sounds very generic, but I think if you look at a team's pattern for how many points they're putting up on a week-to-week basis versus specific teams that they should be putting up higher numbers on, it shows to me that they're just incapable of doing so. I mean, this Rams offense is averaging 34 points per game. Denver, just 20. And last week really proved to me that they're not going to be involved in any high-scoring games as far as themselves go in any near future. I mean, losing 34-16 to the New York Jets, and then, of course, that high-scoring affair as far as KC goes 2 weeks ago, it's not something I want to be a part of. So I'm going to go ahead and, even though this Rams team still has some injuries on defense, the cornerback position, this team is way more exciting. They've got Kupp. They've got Robert Woods. Of course, they've got the main guys that know how to run this ball. I mean, they've got guys like Gurley that are coming off a 3-touchdown performance. It's unmatched right now. Denver's not going to be able to keep up with this pace that the Rams can send out. So for that reason, we're getting just a touchdown. I'll take the Rams on the points.
Good one here. One of my favorites on the card. We got 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific kick here. Jacksonville versus Dallas, McGinnis, and it looks like Jacksonville laying 3 on the road, 40.5 the total. You think Bortles bounces back from that awful performance here?
I'll tell you, I think that I trust him to bounce back a lot more than I trust Dallas to keep things close, to be honest with you. I mean, I hate looking through these games right now and trying to think, are there too many, big favorites or too many small favorites and stuff like that. I mean, look at this one, it's just a field goal. And I understand the Jacksonville Jaguars have actually not been this consistent team we want them to be. I mean, 30-14, wow. I mean, first of all, I had the over in that one. I kind of expected a little bit more offense out of the Jacksonville Jaguars last week, so that kind of disappointed me. But it also showed us how impressive Kansas City really is on this season. And as far as Dallas goes, Drew, I think it's going to be a broken record for me saying this on the show. I mean, as far as the line goes, if you got the +3 with Dallas last week, it was a push against Houston. But again, I just don't think this team is capable of matching up with these top-tier teams, to be honest with you. To be honest, Drew, I don't understand this line. For me, it pops off the page. You mentioned it's a game that you really like, so I'm curious to see what you have to say on this one. But it's one of those ones for me where I just think Jacksonville has too many guys. They have too many people that can find the end zone. I think Bortles is a much more talented quarterback right now, and I think he will go deep and he will respond. This is a team that's a top-tier team that will go in the playoffs, that will make a run, and they will be dangerous as the season progresses. And this is a Dallas team that's still trying to figure it out. I mean, we've got a lot of action coming in on Jacksonville right now, but if you can get me just the -3, just the field goal, I got to take it, Drew.
Yeah, and you can get that. It's 3 still at shops. I mean, -115, -120 at some of the shops, but you can get 3 -110 still out there on Jacksonville. And I agree with a lot of the points you made. I think it could be kind of like a buy low opportunity, and we've seen the push up from Jacksonville -1.5 up to 3, so the market kind of agreeing with us. I think Dallas is down, and Jacksonville's defense is definitely one of the better defenses in the NFL, and Bortles off of a bad performance. I think he's an average to average-ish quarterback and can bounce back as well. So I think laying just the 3, there is no hooks out there, just a flat 3 is the side I would be on here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But moving down the card, we got Baltimore at Tennessee. Looks like Baltimore -2.5, 41.5 the total, McGinnis.
I think Baltimore let quite a few people down last week, Drew, and I think that this is one of those games here where I almost wonder if they're going to go ahead and do the same thing again this week, to be honest with you. And I think the Tennessee Titans are a team that right now, they're not one team I can expect to put up a crap ton of points, but they're keeping games close and they're keeping the score low. So I actually will look at the under in this one. We're going to go under 41.5. I think these two teams right now are going to get off to a very slow start. It'll be kind of a run-filled game. Tennessee doesn't like to take chances. They don't like to go deep. They really, all of their drives, Drew, take up so much time. They use the clock like it's kind of part of their game plan. Meanwhile, this Ravens team, I'm not very impressed with what I saw last week. I saw plenty of people were loving this Ravens team. And, of course, the big bad Browns come out and they win that low-scoring affair versus this Ravens team. So you got to come into this one and you got to look at the injury reports, look at these guys, look at the matchup history. And I think that overall, I'm not even going to touch the side in this one because I don't know what Tennessee's capable of doing on a weekly basis. I know they can keep things close. We're getting a +2.5. But you got to think, Drew, this Ravens team's going to be disappointed. They're going to come into this one a little bit with quite a few changes because that game we saw against the Browns is not what you expect out of this Baltimore Ravens team. 9 times out of 10, that's not the result against the Browns. They put up a lot better performance, and Flacco has to bounce back. He has to be a better guy. So coming into this one, I think it will be a defensive-filled game. I would lean the Ravens, actually, because of that bounce-back spot and their performance they had last week. But my plan this one actually will be the under. Okay,
good stuff, McGinnis. Let's move to the Sunday night game. This is going to catch a lot of eyeballs, a lot of tickets written on this one. Two kind of big-name teams here, at least this season, with the Kansas City Chiefs, high-flying, good quarterback. 59 the total showing. New England, obviously know about the Patriots. 3.5. This is a key one to shop around because there are threes out there. There are 3.5s out there with New England laying that number at home. McGinnis, start us off with this one. Any opinion on betting the Sunday night matchup?
Finally, Drew, we got an actual Sunday night matchup that is just, absolutely dominant. This is going to be a dynamite game to watch. This is going to be one of those ones we're actually looking forward to here on a Sunday night. And you got a first crack here at Patrick Mahomes taking on the main man, Tom Brady. And I think this will be one that they'll be ready for. I don't see any jitters from this guy ever. I don't see any nerves. This guy plays with a lot of confidence, like he belongs to be there. And all these records and all these, accolades he's getting right now, and the passing stats he's creating for himself, he's all deserved. This guy has played out of his mind for these first several weeks of the NFL season. I think his team comes into this one prepared. They come in ready. I could see him and Kareem Hunt teaming up together and having an absolute dynamite game. I'm on the KC Chiefs this one here. I think that the fact that we're getting a field goal with them, in my opinion, you can always really count on this Patriots team to be smart offensively, but I still do not trust their defense whatsoever. I think they're just, a walking door that you can just walk right through at this point if you have a dynamite offensive on the other side. And I think we're not going to see a lot of trouble for this Kansas City team getting first down after first down after first down, converting on these third down opportunities. So in my eyes, you got to look at Kansas City in this one. There's weapons on the side for New England. I think their offensive line is weak, which is not talked about as much. Brady does not have as much time as he usually does. And Brady doesn't like to go deep. We saw this last week. He does not like to go deep. He will every now and then, but he's not a guy that likes to go deep. And I think in order to compete with this Kansas City team, you have to take shots. You can't just go for those 3, 4, 5-yard passes. And I think this one will be a lot closer than people might imagine. And I think Kansas City is a live dog here in this one. As far as the total goes, Drew, this is a very, very high total we're seeing. I got to think, the last meeting between these two teams, 42-27 for Kansas City, September 7th. I mean, that's a while away. That's a long time ago. But I got to think this one will stay under in my eyes. This is one of those games where New England, if they want to be successful, has to have a good defensive game. I think Kansas City's kind of in the same boat right now. They know how special they are offensively, but they're kind of trying to tighten things up defensively. And, I think when you approach the second half in this game, you're going to see a lot of defensive stops, a lot of punting, and this game's going to come right down to the wire. So if you can give me the +3 with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'll take the full game under in this one, I'll be happy with that one.
All right, good stuff, McGinnis. We got the Monday night game to go. Plus, going to get an opinion here from McGinnis on the weekend NHL card. Going to start a best bet on the podcast going into the weekend on the ice with McGinnis. And remember his coupon code, McGinnis49. That's MCINNIS 49 for half off of his 7-day all access. From 7 days after you start to buy it, you'll get NFL and NHL going forward with McGinnis. Great choice here. And his NHL record has been great. He's 28-16, 64% right now in the NFL. So McGinnis will hit this Monday night game and then get to the NHL. We got San Francisco at Green Bay. This is another big total. 9.5s mostly out there in the marketplace. 46.5 the total. Would you look to lay it with Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers and company, 9.5?
Yeah, this is a spot here, Drew. Sorry about that. This is a spot here where I think it's going to be a letdown spot for the Packers. Not this week that I'm going to go and lay any points with this Green Bay team. I'm going to go with the +9.5 here with the San Francisco 49ers. This is a team that's 1-4 against the spread. They've struggled to get any consistency. They've dealt with some injuries. We're trying to figure out what kind of team this team is going to be moving forwards. But, I think Packers have some injuries too. And they're a team that's, in my eyes, Drew, right now, I follow the Packers. They're a close team to me that's struggling to make good decisions. I think their decision-making hasn't been good. Their run game hasn't looked too strong. And again, their offensive line worries me. San Fran's getting the +9.5. This game will be a lot closer than people think. And I also think with San Fran covering, this total will stay under as well.
And McGinnis, let's get right to the ice, man. What's on your mind as far as, no NHL tonight, but the Saturday card? What would you throw out to the listeners? Do you have a best bet for them?
You know what? We're going to go with one that is early into the day, Drew. This is a massive slate. Like you said, there was a big card last night. There's no games on tonight. But we're going to go early, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Edmonton Oilers. This is rotation 53-54. Edmonton Oilers versus the New York Rangers. And this New York Rangers team, we'll start with them. They're a team that has, at one point anyway, an all-star goaltender, Drew, in Henrik Lundqvist. He is the man. He is the goaltender at the Olympics for Team Sweden. He's won numerous awards. He's gone far in the playoffs. He's led this team. He's been a leader on this team. But in my eyes, he's fallen off, Drew. He's a goaltender that is giving up more rebounds now. His glove side is not as strong as it used to be, and he just doesn't seem as comfortable out there. And he's a very mentally weak goaltender in my eyes, Drew. And when his team gets down, he seems to get really frustrated as well, and that's not going to help his team out. Meanwhile, we've got a team in Edmonton that's off to a rough start right now. I mean, they've only played 2 games, keep in mind, but they've got the best player, what everyone says, the best player in the world right now, Connor McDavid, who looks like he's almost on a brand new level, Drew. I mean, if you watch this guy skate, you'd be blown away how fast he is, his speed. He started the game off yesterday against the Bruins with an absolute beauty of a goal. No assists on that one. It was just a solo effort. He took care of things, but they've now lost to New Jersey, and then they also got their asses kicked really by Boston last night. So looking at this one here coming in tomorrow, Edmonton had their first game in Europe, Drew, which I wasn't a fan of, but the NHL likes to do stuff like that sometimes. So it's a rough travel spot. They ended up, going to Boston yesterday. They're coming into this one against, in my eyes, one of the biggest fade teams on the season in the Rangers. And it's almost like their losses in the past 2 games, Drew, set us up for this perfect spot. We're getting just minus 115 with the Edmonton Oilers against this Rangers team. We've got guys like Nugent Hopkins. We've got guys like Strome. We've got guys like Ratty, Puljujarvi, Lucic, all of these guys that can score, that can make plays happen, and it starts tomorrow in my eyes. One question I do have is Cam Talbot in nets for the Oilers. He's been kind of shaky. He's let in some weak goals, but he's an elite goaltender, and he will turn things around. And this early afternoon game tomorrow is when it starts. So go ahead and take the Edmonton Oilers minus 115 at 5 dimes for my best bet here on the podcast.
All right, good stuff, McGinnis. So we'll start it off with kind of a podcast best bet, I guess, on the NHL. Edmonton minus 115 on the Saturday card. That's correct, McGinnis?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, good stuff, man. Anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
Last thing I want to throw out, I actually have a CFL play going right now tonight. It's a 4% play. It's a side, and in my eyes, it's going to be an absolute blowout. It's listed for, I believe, just $15 on the Sportsmemo website.
All right, check out sportsmemo.com. Also remember McGinnis, 49, 7 days all access. You'll get half off of his 7-day service here. You get NFL, CFL, I forgot to mention last time, and NHL. So, guys, that does it for the Sports Memo podcast for the week. We will be back Monday with Teddy Covers NFL Opening Lines podcast. Best of luck with your bets this weekend.